Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape. It's never as good as you think, and it's truly never as bad as you think. You ask any coach in America, any football coach in America, maybe even basketball coaches, maybe some baseball coaches, definitely some cheer coaches. You ask any coach in America after watching film, hey, how was it? They'll tell you, it wasn't as bad as I thought, and it wasn't as good as I thought. And it's 100% true, okay, particularly with regards to the way Georgia played on Saturday. When I went back and watched it, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Some people didn't play as good as I thought, right? You look up, and if you just looked at the box score, you look up and it's 14-3 at the half. Georgia's down, and that's the storyline. Georgia down 14-3 at the half, and your first thought is, well, hell, Georgia must have played like shit, right? Offense must have played like hell in the first half. And to an extent, that's kind of true until you actually go digging, until you actually find out that they only had 4 total drives in the first half. They only had 1 drive in the first quarter. Okay, of those 4 drives, 2 of those 4 drives, one of them was an 11-play drive, another one was a 13-play drive. Those 2 drives resulted in 3 points. That's almost mathematically impossible. Okay, if you think about that. 25 plays, matriculating almost 160 yards of field, okay, positioning, with only 3 points to result on the board. Okay, that's, again, mathematically almost impossible. Okay, but 2 of their possessions were highly successful from a field position standpoint and a matriculation of offense standpoint. Okay, so that's 2 of them. All right, and then the 4th drive in the first half was only a 2-minute drive in which you got the ball back with 51 seconds left before the half and 1 timeout. All right, so it wasn't like there was a tremendous amount of opportunity in the first half in general. So when you look up 3 points scored the first half, you think, God dang, must have played like crap. No, not really. Was there some improvements? 100%. Were there some shots missed? 100%. Were there some opportunities for plays and some yards left on the tape? 100%. But was it awful? No, I wouldn't say that at all. Not as bad as you think. All right, you come out in the second half. All right, you scored touchdowns on your first 2 possessions offensively. You get the ball to come back in the second half, 7 plays, touchdown, force a 3 and out, 6 plays, touchdown. That's a hell of a way to respond. It's a hell of a way to come out in the third quarter. You would have done it again, all right, on the 3rd possession of the second half. You're about to go down and score your 3rd straight touchdown on 3 straight possessions, but Tate Ratledge gets called for a hold over at right tackle or right guard, and Dejon Edwards is soon to be touchdown, gets called back. So you settle for a missed field goal on that opportunity. Guess what? Defense goes out, forces another 3 out. You get the ball back, score again. So 3 out of your 4 possessions to start the second half were scoring touchdowns or touchdown possessions, right? The 4th probably would have been one had a hold not been called. So was the execution perfect? No. Was the execution awful? Absolutely not. Is there reasons to be panicking today? I would say no. Okay, especially when we went and looked at the film today. You guys watching tonight have probably already watched that here on the Film Guy Network. If you haven't, Mistake Monday is up, and you can watch that over there. We're going to get into some real deep dives in terms of film observations with our boy Murray when he joins in just a second. But again, it's never as bad as you think. It's never as good as you think. There's a reason these coaches say this stuff, man, because when they go back and look, I went and watched the TV copy the last 2 days, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why everybody was panicking. I understand this is a results-oriented business, and 3 points in the first half is not enough. But that offense moved relatively well. And for those out in the world questioning the defense, guys, you got to tip your cap when the other quarterback goes 16 for 18 for $152 in the first half. You just have to. When the guy completes 88% of his balls, okay, and avoids rush and matriculates offense down the field and plays NFL caliber quarterback, tip your cap to the guy. All right, that's all you can do. All right, again, we're going to deep dive into these things with our boy Murray. It looks like he just joined us in the back room just now. But I want to welcome you guys into the show. It's a great time to be here on the network. I already told you about Mistake Monday. Hey, we did a little man on the street Saturday night with my boy Kirby out there in downtown Athens. You guys seem to love that based off the comments and the response over on YouTube. So we're going to continue to do that. If you are going to the game Saturday up at UAB, stick around. We'll see you down on Broad down there in downtown Athens after to get your thoughts and opinions. We have Friday Nights Mic'd coming up tomorrow. We went down to Milton and Alpharetta on Friday night. You can check that out. Kirby was at the mic today for pressers as well. You can check that out on Dogs Daily. We have injury news to talk about today. And, of course, we have our boy Aaron Murray joining us in just a few. But I want to take a quick second to give the shout-out to the boys at Prize Picks, boys and girls at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com today. Use promo code Brooks, and you can get a 100% deposit match. What does that mean? You put in up to $100, you will get $100 matched right there on the spot as long as you use promo code Brooks. Boys, how are we doing today?
Doing fantastic.
One thing I want to tell you, as soon as me and Murray get to Chop and Shop, turn that light on because we forgot. Sorry, some editorial notes. Let's get our boy Murray patched in right here. Let's not let the superstar wait any longer. Murray, how we doing today, baby?
What's up? What's up? Always exciting getting on with you to start the week off. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, man, I love a good home and home, man. We did TPL, what was it, Thursday or Friday over there, talked a little defense with our boy B-Boy, and now we're here on the Film Guy Network chopping it up. Murray, we have a bunch of massive topics to talk about tonight, all right? Some really big hitters, some injury news, some red zone woes, some offensive analysis, some film observations, but most importantly, okay, I want to know if your 5 fingers could dispense condiments, all right, but those 5 condiments were the only condiments you would ever be able to use the rest of your life, what 5 condiments would you use?
That's a lot of condiments, first off. Like, to go 5 deep, I was looking like 1, 2. Like, that's a lot. That is a lot. All right, but if I'm going to go 5, my number 1 is the hibachi yum yum sauce.
Oh,
like, for sure. Give me that hibachi yum yum sauce. Number 2, give me that cane sauce, which I'm guessing they're very similar. All these mayonnaise-based sauces that are all kind of mixed together with orange are always good. You can throw probably a Calientito special orange sauce in there as well. Mayonnaise at 3, ketchup 4.
Okay.
And like just a sweet barbecue sauce for 5.
All right, so Murray doesn't eat any wings. You're not a wings guy?
I mean, I eat some wings, but your boy trying to stay nice and fit over here, so wings really aren't in the diet too much right now.
This is why I gotta know you a little bit better, Murray. I gotta trust the fact. I gotta trust the eval, and the eval told me he's not a sauce guy. He's too fit and trim and too worried about the calorie count to be out here just dousing shit in barbecue sauce like I am. So, hey, there was big news today. Amarius Mims gonna have tightrope surgery on a high ankle sprain on that left foot. Just your immediate thoughts from today's news, Murray.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I know Lawson Lucky had that to start the season off, and I was excited to see Lawson get going this season just because of what we saw in the preseason. And obviously, the injuries for the beginning of the year suck right now. I mean, it's just tough. It's hard to get into a rhythm on both sides of the football when you're missing guys. And luckily for Georgia, like, the schedule is nothing too crazy right now where you can get away with it. But my worry is just like down the line, like, this offensive line play. You got to be able to communicate with those 5 guys up front. If Georgia wants to do what they want to do, especially when they get healthy at the receiving position, is they want to get 4 or 5 guys out wide. They want to be able to move guys around. They want to be able to give Carson plenty of options. Well, those 5 guys up front have to be able to communicate together. I mean, it's 5 in one hand. The hand, everyone on that hand has to know what the other one's doing. So, yeah, anytime you lose a person of that group, always sets the unit back a little bit. Georgia's deep, and I trust Coach Searles. I've known Coach Searles since 2009. He's going to make sure that group is ready to go. But I'm just more concerned from a holistic team standpoint of losing chemistry right now with the laundry list of guys that are playing.
Yeah, I think when we started doing these shows together, Murray, I think your number one obstacle to a three-peat was injuries. I believe it was it not?
Yeah, it is. When you're superior talent than everyone else, I mean, the things that hinder you are turnovers and penalties. We saw that hurt Alabama the past couple of years, and then injuries. If you can't get on the field, if you're having to go deep, and say all you want, like, oh, Georgia has a bunch of 4- and 5-star guys waiting in the wings, and so does Alabama and Clemson, and list on and on. Ohio State, Michigan. Yeah, that's great, but experience is key.
Yeah.
And I think you made this point a month or two ago when we were talking about how the transfer portal has made more teams that are 8-4 than kind of made the gap wider. Like, there's a lot of experience at the middle level tier teams, guys that are transferring to schools like Missouri or Kentucky or anyone in that grouping. So like, those teams are playing well because they have experience, and that's how they're able to stay in. And that's why we're seeing so many more competitive games this season, is because of that. Well, if you're a team full of stars that are all banged up and you're playing guys that aren't experienced, all of a sudden you got a lot more neutral games, close games like we saw this weekend with Georgia versus South Carolina.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for college football that the lesser halves can fill holes on their roster much quicker.
Yep.
And I think it's also going to create a lot of false hope with football coaches, Murray. I think you're going to see a lot of flash in the pan stuff. A lot of guys that had success. I know he's in the news for a different thing, but a lot of Mel Tucker stuff, where Mel Tucker flips a roster around, gets lucky with Kenneth Walker, damn near winning a Heisman, wins 10 games, gets $95 million, and now all of a sudden he's got a 10-year contract for 1 year because he hounded the transfer portal and turned a roster around pretty quickly. Hey, let's knock out some observations. I think I saw you watching the film with the little man. I know we watched the film around here, so a couple of film guys cutting it up. I think we should trade some observations here, starting offensively. Hey, what was one of your primary takeaways when you went back and watched it, Murray?
There's some times when I would have loved to see Carson just let it rip. And I was telling my dad this the other day. I think this was even before the game. He was kind of asking, like, what are your thoughts of Carson to start the season off? And I was like, the one thing that I appreciate in his game right now is there's a tiny bit of hesitation from him at time. And listen, he's building chemistry with new receivers. I mean, it takes time. But I'd rather have a guy getting through his reads and finding his check down than a guy getting stuck on his number one target and getting sacked or forcing the ball down the field. Like, when you watch Carson, man, he's 1, 2, 3. Like, you see his feet are active in the pocket, and then it's like, damn, where's my check down? Where's my check down? Where's my back? Where's my number 3 read? Like, I like that, because the more he goes back and watches the tape, the more he's going to realize, like, man, if I would have just given that receiver an opportunity to win a one-on-one battle, if I would have given him maybe just a hair second longer to cross the safety's face or cross the linebacker's face, I'm going to have him open the next window. And you can say all you want on film, you can do everything you want in practice, but until you actually see those and experience it in a live situation, it's hard to trust it. And I think he's going to continue to build that trust, but it's hard to teach a quarterback. It is very difficult to teach a quarterback how to get through his reads and how to find a check down.
Yeah.
And right now he's doing that. He's taking care of the football. He's been extremely accurate. The shots will come. Like, for all the fans that are like begging Bobo to take more shots on the field and for Carson, that will come with confidence, with more reps and better chemistry with the receivers and more trust in the receivers. I'm not worried about that. He is showing me he knows how to maturely play the game right now from the quarterback position, and I absolutely love it.
Murray, let me ask you this. He got pressure this week, right? I mean, particularly that first drive. He spends 13 plays getting, bodies at his feet pretty quickly. When you're a quarterback and that first possession, they're getting pressure on you. They're playing cover one, a lot of man coverage, sending 5, 6 guys. Your internal clock gets sped up, does it not? We're not going to sit there and hold balls and wait for plays to develop. We're going to get the ball out to our check down because that's how we're coached, is it not, as a quarterback?
No, and I talked to him about this in the preseason a little bit too, and he referred to, kind of going back and watching Aaron Rodgers tape of kind of at times anticipating when things aren't going to be there, feeling the pressure and just knowing, like, hey, man, let me just get a positive play. And I think you tweeted this out earlier today. Was it like 1 possession in the first quarter and 4 possessions in total in the first half? But that wasn't – it had a little bit to do with the defense and not getting out the field, but it's also them. Like, they were methodically moving the ball down the field. They were converting first downs. The red zone issues, I know we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Like, you got to be able to score touchdowns. Obviously, you got to be able to score, make field goals when you can't get in the end zone. But this offense is moving the ball.
Yeah.
It's now converting those drives into points is now kind of the next evolution. And that's why, it is difficult to have a 14, 15 play drive. That's why defenses like to play that bend but don't break style mentality. Like, hey, we'll give up a 15 play drive if we know it's only going to be 3 points. And that's why you like being able to execute shot plays, because if you can get it, 50 around the 50-yard line, take a shot, score a touchdown, that's a lot easier than trying to go score inside the 5-10-yard line. Way easier. So, yeah, and I think one thing we've seen from Carson too is his escapability. Like when things aren't there, I think I knew he was quick. I know he had some decent wheels, but I do think he shocked some people with his ability to kind of tuck in and run and get some yards.
Yeah, the escapability has been something that I think's caught some people off guard. The only kind of negative, and it's not even really a negative, it's hey, I wish you would have done this better for offensively and coordinating wise. They could have attacked space a little bit better. I mean, with South Carolina playing so much single high safety on Saturday, I didn't see a single slot fade on Saturday, Murray. I mean, that's what college football is nowadays. If you're going to live in man coverage, I find it hard to believe that an offense went 4 quarters without throwing some type of seam fade to Dominic Lovett or some type of something where we, let our slot receiver work against a lesser than nickel corner. Would have liked to have seen that better. You're right. The shots to me.
Dominic Lovett get involved in the offense a little bit more in general to start the season. I feel like he's been.
Yeah.
And I don't know if was it somewhat of a loss of trust after that first game, because he had a couple drops in that first game. But I have not seen the Dominic Lovett that I saw at Missouri last year. And I think that has been a little bit shocking to me. Obviously, Rara has made a couple big plays on some post routes. And I think he's someone that, from talking to some people, that the playbook was just giving him issues. You go from two look at Mississippi right now, Mississippi State. Yeah. They can't execute on offense. I mean, it is tough to go from that type of offense that they were running under Mike Leach to that pro-style system similar to what they're doing now and similar to what Georgia is. Like, it takes time for receivers and quarterbacks. I think Rawwell is going to continue to find small, avenues to get on the field, because I do think he's talented and he's shown us the ability to stretch the ball directly down the field. But I haven't seen, and this is another observation, I haven't seen explosiveness from the receiving position in general at all. And I would love for Bobo to call some more shots, whether it is the seam fades or just go balls or post routes in general. But like, if you don't have guys that you feel confident in right now, it's kind of hard to do that as a coordinator. And I see a bunch of guys that are getting open, not necessarily creating a lot of separation, and then not a lot of explosion after the catch either. It's kind of like catch, tackle, catch, maybe get a couple yards, tackle. Like, there's no one, like I turned on Washington State. There's no one like that that's catching it and going for 30, 40 yards and scoring a touchdown. Like that's the next evolution of this offense. That we got to find some guys that can make some plays with the ball in their hand.
It's interesting. I think because of the way he looks, I know because of the way he looks, people don't think of Ladd like this. But Ladd has been the explosive shot taker over the last couple of years. He is the double move guy. That's the guy who has scored all the deep shots that hasn't been named Arian Smith or A.D. Mitchell over the last 2 years. So without Ladd in there, like, we didn't see a double move on Saturday at all. Not one. Didn't see no Hugos, no hitch and goes, no sluggos, no nothing. No double moves on the outside, nothing at all. So Ladd was the guy that was always getting those things called for him over the last couple of years, and he's obviously not there. The red zone woes, Murray, I think we can go ahead and hit here. I think they're pretty simple. They have failed to run the ball like whatsoever effectively inside the red zone. They've been stonewalled inside the red zone, and they end up facing 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10 a lot in the red zone, and that's just not successful. You're not going to score a lot of touchdowns doing that.
Yeah. Well, they did in the second half, and that's why they were able to put it in. They finally did commit to some of the zone schemes and were able to get in there for the touchdown. And I know people got upset with some of the screen balls that Bobo threw. You have to understand the way Georgia's playing right now. It is very complimentary. It is. We know we have a great defense. We're staying on the field for a long time, so we're keeping their offense off the field. We're not going to put ourselves in a situation where we don't feel like we can walk away with points. So if it's a 3rd and 12 from the 15 or whatever it was, where the chances of you converting a first down are unlikely. I mean, how many interceptions have you seen this year from quarterbacks trying to make a play inside the 10-yard line and they end up throwing an interception? I mean, I feel like I've seen more this year than I ever have for the first 3 weeks of the season. Like, guys are running around and throwing interceptions. I just had Auburn this weekend. Their quarterback did on the first drive. Auburn had the ball at the 1-yard line, throws it twice, gets a full start penalty, backs him up 5 yards, and then the guy rolls to the right and throws an interception in the end zone. I mean, it's happened over. I mean, Michigan, J.J. McCarthy, same thing. He threw a pick inside the 5-yard line this week. A deep cross in the back of the end zone, got to throw it high, threw it too low. Linebacker backed up, made the interception. Like, Yes, I want touchdowns, but if it's 3rd and long in a condensed area, I'd rather know that I'm walking away from a coaching staff with 3 points, knowing that I got one of the best defenses there, and I'm going to play complimentary football and win the football game. So like, I don't think people understand that they just want to score 40 points, they just want to score 50 points, and everyone does, but that's unrealistic half the time. The competition's good, so I do want to see Bowers more involved. I do agree with you, like running the ball will help. And I love what Edwards was able to bring out. I want to see Bell more in there, but Brock has to be more of a factor in the red zone. Like he has been.
Yeah.
I know they've tried to get him a little bit more involved. I know teams are doing whatever they can to stop him, but man, you got to do whatever you can just to feed him. Similar to like what Missouri's doing with their stud. Just get him the ball in space and let him break a couple tackles.
Yeah, like again, back to the I wish he would have attacked space a little bit better. If they're going to play single high man coverage, how can we not find a way to get Brock Bowers open as somehow, some way? I'm not going to say that was concerning, but that was like hey, it's like the best tight end in America. Why can't we figure out a way to get him some type of open or some type of free runner? I felt like that was Monken's ability, like Monken's gift. And even if it was his or whoever took credit for it, whoever it was, at least once or twice a game, Brock Bowers hit for like 40, 45 yards and was wide-ass naked open, okay? They figured out manufactured ways to do it for him, and we haven't seen that this year quite yet. Let's flip over to the defensive side of the football because I was going to mention we both think Carson's played well. I mean, like you said, I think he could be more risk-averse with the football. He could put it at risk just a little bit more, but that's not by his nature. That's just not really who he is, even though we can encourage him to do that as a coaching staff. And Aaron, let's talk about this. I would be interested. Had they named Carson Beck the starter in February, okay, and just pumped him full of sunshine and confidence all offseason, would we see a different kind of play right now? Would we see someone who's like comfortable in their job?
See, to me, I think he knew, and I think the team knew, and the coaching staff knew that he was going to be the starting quarterback. Like, I don't think there was ever any hesitation from Carson that, hey, I'm not going to be QB1. Like maybe could he got some more reps with the ones in spring and fall camp? Yeah, maybe. But like from a mindset standpoint, he was pretty confident. I think everyone else was pretty confident. Even guys in the quarterback room knew that Carson was going to be QB1 unless he completely crapped the bed at some point during camp. So no, I just think it's him, and he said that after the first game, like, man, I haven't started a football game in 4 years.
Yeah.
I think he's playing on the ultra-conservative side as he continues to get his feet wet. And once again, like, I would rather a quarterback go out there, take care of the football, manage the game, knowing that what you have on the other side, and then as the season goes along, you really start to see him go. Like, I think you're going to see, if Georgia fans will just be patient, I think you're about to see him really blossom over the next few weeks.
All right,
that's what I'm hoping for.
Let's flip over to the defensive side of the football. I think the first thing I noticed when I watched it today was just how vulnerable that safety position can be. If you're not ready, if you're like still catching up with the speed of play, like you stick out like a sore thumb at safety far more than any other defensive position. Because if you take bad angles because your eyes are in the wrong spot, or if you're lost a little bit in coverage, like you stick out like a sore thumb. And I didn't necessarily think – they missed Javon Bullard, obviously, but it was very noticeable to me that David Daniels-Sissavon's got some growing to do if this is going to be the lineup for the next couple of weeks, Aaron.
Well, it was him, and it was Dalen too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch the whole defense, like that was it. Like everyone else was doing a pretty damn good job. I thought defensive line played well. I thought everyone else in the secondary played well. Like every big play – it was like comical. I'm rewatching the defense today. I mean, it was comical. Like every big play South Carolina hit, it felt like it was 6 or 14 in coverage.
Yep.
And they're just like, we're going to go after me. Kirby said it during fall camp. He said, man, you guys think like this secondary is so good and so talented because we have 3 starters back and Tyke back at nickel. But like we don't have another corner on the other side that we feel good with. And it's showing right now. Like Dalen needs to grow up because what has hurt Georgia over the past couple of years is when offenses have multiple talented receivers.
Yeah.
Like, tell me right now if Georgia went up against Ohio State or Texas or any of these offenses, of Florida State with those receivers, you can't tell me you feel good about slowing those guys down. I mean, one, the defensive line is played well, but there's not been a consistent pass rush. And you have a major weakness in the secondary, which teams are just going to exploit. They're just going to go at him over and over and over again. And Georgia, even with multiple, talented, DBs, still struggled at times to cover 2 or 3 talented receivers. So it is a glaring issue that may not get exposed in SEC play because there's not a lot of great offenses right now in the SEC. But when you face FSU or once again Texas or USC or Oregon or Ohio State, man, like they're gonna just go after him over and over and over and over again, and that could turn out for a long day for that defense.
That kind of hurts you both ways, and we got biggest concerns coming up a little bit later. But I'll go ahead and spoil mine. That's my biggest concern. That not only if you go up against multiple threats like that, or the day that you get scored on like you did against Ohio State. Right now, there's nothing on that offensive side of the football that shows me you got the explosivity to score in bunches if you need to, like you have in years past. Think about it. You needed Arian Smith's touchdown against Ohio State to overcome a 2-touchdown deficit. You needed a Kenny McIntosh 75-yard run where he trips and falls to, again, overcome a 14-point deficit against Ohio State. Arian Smith's play against Cincinnati damn near won that football game. Ladd McConkey's double move against Auburn a couple of years ago. Garris Jackson's big explosive against Florida we can go on and on and on and on.
The offense will come. I think the offense will come.
I think so.
I am more concerned about the defense and that secondary a little bit right now, which I thought was going to be straight. I still think it is. 90% of that secondary are first rounders.
Yeah.
I mean, first, second round picks from Malachi to when Javon's healthy to Kamari to Tyke at nickel.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the offenses are too smart and they're too good, at scheming guys to get the matchup they want. And you can't just sit back and say, hey, we're going to play too high and have a light box. Like, they're not as dominant up front as years past. They don't have a big Jordan up there that can take on double teams and let linebackers run free. Like, if you want to play too high, teams are going to be able to run on you too.
Yeah. I honestly thought Rattler played extremely well on Saturday. Not just from
maybe the best quarterback in the SEC right now.
That's what I tweeted Saturday or Sunday after watching. I was like, that's the best quarterback in the SEC. Like, he did it looked very similar to what CJ Stroud did against this team last year, where as soon as you see grass, step up and then get horizontal, get flat, and let's start trying to find somebody downfield. That's exactly what he did on Saturday. You talk about that defensive line. I'm going to keep saying it on this channel. Not that he listens, but I know he's on your network. Dude, if Warren Brinson don't start settling in that backfield, I mean, he's parked. He's parked 3 yards in the backfield every play. It's just we got to finish. We're sticking our hands out, getting face mask penalties. We're not wrapping up, letting sacks go. Like, Warren Brinson could have 5 TFLs right now if he just finished.
Yeah, I know. He's in the backfield almost every time, man. He's just been tenacious getting after the quarterback. Just finish the damn Joe Warren. But he's been a pleasant surprise because, I mean, he was the one that, was kind of that second group coming in, kind of the backup, and then has really found a role. It's just the way he's played, man. It's every single play he's getting after it. But, it's good to move the quarterback off his spot. But when you do face a guy like Spencer who can then create once he gets outside the pocket, that's when a lot of those guys are more dangerous. Like, you'd rather them keep them in the pocket than see him run around making plays. And to get back on Spencer real quick, like, he has been the entire season. It's not his fault. His team's just not good. Like, from North Carolina, it's obviously what he did last week to the way he played for Georgia. Like, I don't know how that kid survives a season. I really don't. But, man, he's been ballsy. He stood there and taken some shots. He's made some incredible throws down the field. They had some drops for Georgia that should have been even more explosive plays down the field too. Like, it's him and Jaden Daniels right now at LSU that, to me, are really separate in a league that's not been
the quarterback
exciting when it comes to the quarterback play this year. Unfortunately, it's been those two which have been pretty good to see.
Are you surprised by how bad the quarterback play's been, Aaron? I mean, it's not great.
I am a little bit, and I'm not. I mean, there's a couple guys that have been disappointing to start the year, like Devin Leary at Kentucky. I was expecting a lot more from him. And listen, it's a new offense. It's a new OC. It's a new everything for him. And he played better this week. It was against Akron. So, take it what you want. But, like, I expected more from him to start the season, especially when you look at their offense, man. They got Ray Davis at running back who's been balling out. Yeah, they have 3 really good receivers. Like, that's an offense that should be pretty damn explosive, and they just really haven't done it. Obviously, Joe Milton has been just horrendous to start the season, like, just really disappointed from a guy who I watched him last year, thought really took a step in the right direction, and some of the issues that have plagued him his whole career have just been really present, especially the past 2 weeks. That's disappointing. I think Jackson Dart's pretty special. I think he has a chance to have a pretty damn good season. KJ's been a little quiet there in Arkansas, and I think that's to do with he just doesn't have a lot of great receivers around him. Bunch of transfer guys that are just average. And then I do like Wegman at A&M.
Yeah.
I like Wegman a lot, and he's got some talented receivers. I do want to, all those people give me crap about, Mississippi State and their quarterback. I ranked them like 9th or 10th heading into the season for the SEC. Everyone mad at me, thinking I'm salty because I'm afraid he's going to break my records. Playing out right now, just like I told you it would.
Murray, that's the most arrogant I've ever heard you with a take before, right there, buddy. I've never normally you just give the take, you don't worry about it, man. That was staunched. I like that. That was a little spicy.
Dude, it's been really funny. Like I've gotten ripped to start the season from like Clemson fans, from Alabama fans, from like Mississippi State fans, and after the first 3 weeks, like my mentions in my Twitter have gone down significantly from all 3 fan bases because they finally see what I was trying to tell them for the past 6 months.
Murray, is your biggest concern these defensive backs right now?
I would say so because it's been the biggest concern for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Has it not? I mean, for the past 2 years, what has lost Georgia games or gotten them close to losing games? It's explosive plays. And I'll say this again. I will take an explosive offense over a world-class defense any day of the year. Any day. Because if you have a super talented quarterback with 2 or 3 receivers, there will never be enough good DBs that can match up. Offenses have the upper hand in today's game. They do. They do. Alabama 2 years ago, Ohio State last year. Just the name of the game, man. If you want to win a championship, you have to be able to score 40 or 50 points.
Mine's on the other side of the ball. Mine's the yards per play, the explosivity rates, all those things on the offensive side of the ball. I'm not saying you got to match what you did last year. I'm not saying they won't be able to match what they did last year. I'm just saying through 3 games, the yards per play, the yards per pass attempt, just the general explosivity rates aren't near as high as they should have been. Based off the defenses that they've played, that South Carolina defense, man, I don't think they're world beaters. They had a good plan. They came out and executed a little bit, but that was a lot of suspect, things that could have been attacked just a little bit better, in my personal opinion. Hey, we do a little thing around here, Murray. It's called Give Them 3. Give them 3. It's pretty simple. You give me 3 things. All right, give me 3 things that you learned about this football team on Saturday, Murray.
3 things. 1, they're not as deep at DB as we were hoping they would be. Mm-hmm. 2, we really need Ladd McConkey.
Love it.
And 3, get Brock more involved in the red zone. They didn't do that enough. That's what I learned. They got to get the ball. They got to get in the ball more.
That boy Murray, give him 3. For me, I'm going to go resiliency. We showed our first sign, or we saw our first sign, rather, of a football team that had to come back from a deficit and overcome some things, man. They were kind of stagnant. Vibe inside the stadium wasn't all that great there right towards the half. Rain, all the nasty shit. Not only that, playing against an SEC opponent. So I think even Coach Smart mentioned that after the football game. He found out a little bit about his resiliency and overall character about his football team. I learned they respected the hell out of Spencer Rattler and that Leggett kid. I know you watched it. They basically doubled or shaded, safety help to him the entire football game, and he still found ways to get after it. So saw him pregame, Murray, and I think you've had an opportunity to see Leggett up. Not like super tall, about like 5'11 and a half, 6 foot, but thick as shit. Almost looks like A.J. Brown a little bit. And last but not least, I learned that running back needs to keep Dejon Edwards really, 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 really healthy. So that's my give him 3. Give him 3. No claps over there, Murray. What are you doing? It's just a me guy.
Can we get Bell the ball more at running back? I mean, just make him a full-time running back.
Give him 4.
Might as well at this point. Give him the ball.
Hey, Murray, I'm going to let you go because we've kept you past your 30-minute timetable, and I don't want to have to pay you for another hour, all right?
I don't get paid jack squat. Don't be that. And
I appreciate that.
I'm hoping my crumble cookie is upstairs by the time I get upstairs.
I bet
Crumble
it is.
night, baby.
Nice little slide, a little plug in there. You know that one wasn't free. Crumble cookies.
What?
Is that a sponsor?
I do need to get a deal with Crumble because I do promote the hell out of them for free too much. But I do love my Crumble though.
Ain't no free reads around here unless it's promo code Brooks over at Prize Picks. Hey Murray, I appreciate you for being here, buddy. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks, okay?
See you, boys.
See you, man. Hey, that boy Aaron Murray. How about that? Boys, I was gonna let y'all give the 3 while y'all were here, while he was here, but I figured, he don't need to hear your takes. They're too fire for him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We'll let the audience hear your takes.
I'm glad he was able to dip out for this one. Crumble cookies overrated.
Oh,
it is. Not a fan of it.
I'm
not a fan of it at all.
Crumble cookies something you only do if you can pay $10 a cookie.
Yeah,
that's true too.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know who's got just absolute banging ass cookies? Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A has just a top notch.
They do have a good cookie.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, give them 3, boys. What y'all got?
I'm with you on Dejon Edwards. He's the most important player in that running back room. Learned that without a doubt. 118 yards on his first game of the season.
With the knee brace on, too.
With the knee brace. He just looked explosive. He was shifty in between the tackles. I think that he's just the most important player because he adds that aspect. He adds that life that we have talked about in that running back room. I learned that Carson Beck is becoming much more comfortable being the starting quarterback. I thought it was interesting to hear Kirby Smart today talk about him celebrating a touchdown, and that's what kind of told him that he's becoming more comfortable, and that kind of brings some life.
Did you see the slime?
I didn't see that one,
bro. On the pass interference, he hit him with a slam, first down.
Yeah, I saw that. And so Kirby talked about how that it gets the offense going when they see him do stuff like that. So Carson's becoming comfortable in that role. He's kind of showing some emotion, and I like that from a quarterback. And the last one, this defense did not deceive us the first 2 weeks. They gave up 14 points in the first half, but they completely shut down Spencer Rattler and that offense in the second half when you absolutely needed to shut him out. So,
hey, Jay Will, give him 3. Oh,
that was choppy.
Let's try that again. Give him 3. That's much better. Clean, tight. Go ahead.
So I agree with you that the deficit, being able to show resiliency and things such as that. I think red zone execution has to get a lot better. Like you said, 2 possessions, you come away with 3 points. That's not really ideal.
To say the least.
So, yeah. Next, that kind of goes into place kicking's taking a big step back.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia fans have gotten kind of spoiled where you go from Rodrigo Blankenship to Jack Podlesny, where it's pretty much automatic within 40 yards. Not so much this year. That's one of my takeaways. And then the third one I have is it seems like each position, unfortunately, is just going to be revolving doors at this point where Javon Bullard might be out this week. You might have to go without Dejon Edwards. Kendall Milton might be hurt. You're going to have to rotate guys in the offensive line position. So I feel like there isn't going to necessarily be that one guy that sticks out. It's going to mainly be a revolving door just because it looks like you've got a bad case of injury bug right now.
Yeah, Kirby said today that Ron Corson told him this morning that this is the longest injury report list he's ever had.
And that's surprising because there's been some long ones over the years.
And there's some guys on the list that we didn't even put down. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 names on the list. Most of which are impact football players. Only Chris Peel on this list is someone who this year was probably never going to play. Everybody else on this list was probably going to play. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. Hey, y'all ever heard a little song? Oh, my bad. You got some more?
No, that's it.
Give him 3. Can't be shorting the man 3. We got a little something called here, a little term around here called confirmation. You might know what confirmation is? Confirmation is when you work your ass off. Okay, you out here just grinding. Up till 2 o'clock in the morning, just rewinding back and forth, just grinding some motherfucking tape. You're just out here getting it down, all right? And yes, you get a little confirmation from your audience. Your audience gets that thumbs up button, which you should do right now. Your audience hits that comment button. Your audience out here watching, okay? But there is very, very little amount of, confirmation that stacks up anything like what we got on this channel today. This first clip you're gonna hear, there's 2 clips mashed together. This first clip is me talking about this offense on our Mistake Monday this morning, recorded at about 9:30. The second clip and subsequent clip following right after that is Kirby Smart today at noon talking about your football team just a few hours after I talked about your football team. Jay Will, play that confirmation clip. All right, so we're 3 games in, by the way. We're 3 games in. Red zone, maybe. Y'all are calling the same plays. Y'all, 20-20, y'all look like the same football team, all right, when I study you. And so I don't know if that's worth anything for you, whatever. Here we go.
2 hours later.
But the offense that we've played this year is the exact same offense as we played for the last 3 years. Look at the plays. Anybody that knows football would tell you that the plays are the same. Our execution in the red area hadn't been great and hadn't scored as many points. We haven't been as explosive and as dynamic. And some of that has to do with players being out, and some of that has to do with executing. But very comfortable with where we are offensively.
That boy knows ball. Confirmation. What do you think about that?
Yeah, how'd that feel saying, like, if you know ball, you know that this offense has stayed the same?
So I heard, I think somebody, I don't know who asked the question. I think it might have been Mike or Chip or somebody. And he does if you know ball, we've been running the same plays. And I'm sitting over there in my notes and I perked up like that. I'm like, hey, I know ball. I know ball. I knew ball, but he didn't know I knew a ball. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he also didn't know that he confirmed the man's ball knowing right there.
See, that's why he couldn't tell you where he gets his football knowledge from, because then he'd be outing himself as a film guy fan.
Hey, real talk, Kirby was like 4 minutes late to his presser today. He was probably watching Mistake Monday.
Wouldn't blame him.
It's plausible.
That's the only option.
It's the only option. Why else would you be
only
5 minutes
possibility.
late? Think about it this way, Curb. I released it at 11:20. It's a 45-minute episode. Man's walked into the joint at 12:05. You tell me. The math is mathing. The math is mathing.
Math be mathin'. That's a solid conspiracy theory we got going on right there.
I like that. Solid little conspiracy theory. Kirby Smart subscribes. You should too. It's been a great time, again, to be here on this channel. It's not a great time to be in the athletic training facility at the University of Georgia because it is loaded, slam-packed with injuries. Let's take a look at this injury report right now. Ladd McConkey, Kirby Smart said today, does not expect him to play this week. Probably not going to be available. It's a back. And it doesn't sound great, I'm going to be honest with you. Every time we get an update, it sounds a little less optimistic as to what's going on there. It sounds like some type of, I don't even want to say nerve injury. I don't know what it is. It's very up and down, so it's not good there. All right, Mims obviously got the tightrope surgery today. We broke that news over on Dogs Daily. We didn't break it. Kirby Smart broke it during his press conference. Don't even know why I took credit for that. Lawson Lucky had the tightrope surgery a couple weeks ago. He still looks like he's got some swelling around that lower ankle, still walking around in some type of not brace, but like an ankle brace, if you will, on that left foot. Saw that this weekend as he walked out of the locker room. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins seems to have still have an air cast on his foot. For those of you who don't know, he was struggling with some type of foot issue during camp. It seems to me they either elected to shut him down and allow that to fully recover, or they might have elected for surgery. We don't know. He just randomly was in a boot one day after having returned to practice, from the foot injury. EJ Lightsey, listed as a shoulder injury. Kirby says it's chronic pain or something that he has been dealing with from high school. Still don't know that, but he's not even out of street clothes during game days. Guys, that was gonna be one of your football players that was in contention for that third linebacking spot. If you notice, they still haven't solidified that yet. They're still playing C.J. Allen, still playing Xavier Sorey. Haven't narrowed the search there on that LB3 position right now. Kendall Milton banged up his knee on Saturday. I would imagine he's probably about 85-90% good to go. If it's not something that's going to get worse, you're going to see two playing this year, I would imagine. He's got no other choice. He's got to bite the towel. He knows that. He's tough son of a bitch, okay? It's been very clear and evident throughout his career. He's willing to fight through injury and play hurt. I think we've seen that through the first 3 weeks. Amen?
Amen.
All right. Roger Robinson, he had a high ankle sprain on Saturday. Anytime you hear high ankle and sprain, expect a week or two. All right? Maybe 3, maybe 4. All right, high ankle sprain is nothing to play with. Chris Peel sounds like he's got turf toe. Marvin Jones Jr., sick. All right, Javon Bullard has the high ankle sprain himself, or the ankle sprain himself. Austin Blasky sounds like he's going to be back this week. Obviously, Branson Robinson's out for the year. It's not great, Bob. I'm just going to tell you, it's not great. Looking at the injury report, and I want to ask you guys right here, of all those names we just listed, who's the guy that they're going to miss the most this weekend if all those are out?
I think it continues to be Ladd McConkey.
Yeah.
You harped on needing explosivity from this offense, and he's the guy that's been the person to generate that over the past couple of years, the double moves, whatever it was. It seems like 84 was the one that kind of sparked up the offense. The play against Tennessee comes to mind where he makes a double move coming right off of the pretty much a safety, punt return, one play touchdown. Like, that was the guy who did it. So I think it continues to be Ladd.
I still think Branson Robinson is one of the most hurtful, just because look at that
Good
running
call.
back room now, especially now that Kendall Milton's battling an injury, Roderick Robinson has an ankle sprain. You have pretty much no depth now.
Yeah.
I mean, not having Branson Robinson available stunk at first, but now you're really hurting because the other guys are starting to get banged up.
It might have sounded like insurance, insurance from a public narrative perspective. But as soon as Branson got hurt, like, sources in the building were like, not devastated is the wrong word, but like, damn, fuck, that was a big one, man.
Yeah.
Like, that was a big one. We were really banking on him to take carries this year. That was the vibe. Now, again, if you know your running back room is going to be bad, then you should multiply that and make sure everybody knows it was multiplied when another guy goes down. Like, oh, now it's really bad, guys. Wait, it's really, really bad. You know what I mean? From a public narrative perspective. But it's not like they don't do a lot of narrative steering, to be honest with you. The 4.5 years that I've talked to people inside that building, I don't get a lot of bullshit from them. Now, I don't get a lot from them, but I don't get a lot of bullshit, okay? And there are other programs where it ain't nothing but fugazi. It ain't nothing. You know who's a really truthful staff? That's South Carolina staff. The South Carolina staff is an extremely truthful staff. If you ask them, hey, what do you think about your chances today? They'll tell you straight up. We got to do X, Y, and Z to have any shot. They did X, Y, didn't do Z on Saturday, which is finished that second half. But no, it's a really banged up unit. It was interesting to see Xavier Truss flip over to the right tackle spot, and not interesting for the sense that he did it. That was known. It was interesting in the sense that he played well. Yep. He played much better. He played much better over at right tackle than he had been at left guard. You guys saw that in the film study this morning over on Mistake Monday. Dude was playing way too out over his toes. Now, I was an offensive lineman that, had to play out over my toes because I was always the weaker opponent than the nose tackle that was 340 pounds across from me. I was never going to be able to move that guy unless I played out overextended, okay? That was by nature. Xavier Truss is 6'8", 330 pounds. Why on earth, you're a fifth-year senior, why on earth can we not play within ourselves at guard? I don't understand that. It makes me question your strength at the point, right? Which I shouldn't be doing. Fifth-year senior, 6'8", 330. If the anchor's not as good at guard, it's going to be that much better at tackle. That's the good news for Georgia fans. I would also tell you that I haven't really, really dug it up, but I'm going to tell you right now, you know who we haven't talked about on this channel for 2 weeks, despite the fact that he's been playing a lot? Dylan Fairchild. Okay, and if Dylan Fairchild ain't getting called out on that film study, you know what Dylan Fairchild's doing? By God, his damn job. That's what he's doing. So if offensive linemen aren't getting called out there, they playing well. I was bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray today, and I love this player to death. I do. One of my favorite guys I've ever covered. Cedric Van Pran did not deserve SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. He did not. Cedric Van Pran got beat on the first 3rd and 8. Cedric Van Pran got beat on a backside block on 3rd and 2. Cedric Van Pran got beat on plays Saturday that he never gets beat on, and he would be the first to tell you that. So I was not necessarily disappointed in seeing that. I was like, why? Who? How? It's just Cedric's played a lot of great games in his college career. Saturday was not one of them. So not in my opinion. And I know mine's not the one that is all that matters, but I didn't see Cedric Van Pran having the best game of the SEC this weekend at center. So do we have anything else, boys?
There's that Todd Gurley news.
Dude, what about that?
It's weird.
Weird. All right, so for those of you who don't know, Todd Gurley tweeted Saturday during the game. By the way, he was honored at the game for being an all-SEC football player. Him, Sean Jones.
Marshall Morgan, I think.
There it is. I was looking for the white guy. Marshall Morgan and who else?
I can't remember the other one.
Somebody. All right, they gave 4 all-SEC, honorary trophies away. Todd Gurley was one of them. And then in the midst of that football game, tweeted this, quote, "Can't believe I came to this game. SMH, Coach Prime turned me up tonight." Now, I know how the diehards feel about that. Boys, what did y'all feel about your probably, 3rd greatest running back ever tweeting something like that?
I would say, obviously it's not a great look to see someone like that, someone that fans love and that was so beloved during his time at Georgia, and especially the fact that he was honored at the game to be tweeting like, dang, I wish I wouldn't have came to this game. But then at the same time, it's like, I don't know how we can get on to him for complaining about the game when everybody was complaining about the game. In the middle of that South Carolina game, like everybody was saying something negative like, geez, that was ugly. That first half sucked. This offense is not it right now. Like everybody was saying something negative. So I think you have to give him some type of grace.
Somebody did the old bait and switch on Smile Mondon today in the media room. It was like, I know y'all aren't watching everybody else, but there was a late game the other night. Deion Sanders comes out and beats Colorado State. It's on national television. What'd you think, Smile? And all he said was, I think Coach Prime's doing good out there. And that was it. That was it. That media training stout. That media training is so stout at UGA.
Yeah, it is honestly hilarious to watch the entire fan base essentially motherfuck Mike Bobo and everyone on the staff for the entire game. And then Todd Gurley, of all people, who's done more for the university than you have, goes, why am I at this game? This stinks. And it's like, I'm very disappointed in Todd Gurley. Why would you say such a thing? It's like, dude, you've been saying this all year. So I don't get it. It's very hypocritical.
I think what you have to remember Todd Gurley for is after his suspension, he very well did not need to come back and play for Georgia. He could have sat out, went and got drafted in the NFL, get his money, and could have lived happily ever after. But he chose to come back, and it cost him. He tore his ACL in his return. So, he was repping the G proudly during his time at Georgia. Sure, there might be some bad memories a little bit due to suspension, but I think that's how you should remember Todd Gurley. Don't remember for what he's saying on Twitter.
Facts.
It's also like the DGD police are crazy, dude. Like people are like, well, I guess Nick Chubb's the greatest running back in Georgia history now. It's like, what the hell, dude?
But Nick Chubb was better anyways.
But I mean, even so, like that being the reason you go over the edge now because Todd Gurley said something while he was at the game. It's like, dude, y'all are so soft.
So lax.
Yeah, it's like, let's be honest, y'all are being soft as hell.
That. Not great from both sides, but come on.
SAWFT soft. Hey, we got another hour coming up for you guys, and it's our national hour, and it's a big one, okay? We're going to give you our top 12 for the week. We got top 25 reactions. We're going to talk Bama. We got all kinds of stuff. Can the Pac-12 get two teams in the college football playoff? I'm going to do some Pac-12 loving here in about 10